Welcome back, Nation, to the show. We show you how to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. As I Commander CheapSkate is another edition of Warhammer: The Golden Age. This one is Battle Report number 21. It is a 2,000-point battle between yours truly, with my Dallas Stay Care Dark Elves army versus my buddy Brother Grimm of Apocalypse Now, a 2,000-point Orcs and Goblins army. So once again, we're alternating these battle reports every other Thursday. For Throwback Thursday between Warhammer 8th Edition and Necromunda, and now it's time for our weekly battle report for Warhammer 8th Edition. So let's see what happens with 2,000 points of Dark Elves and 2,000 points of Orc Goblins, kind of mixed up in the battlefields of old. Alright, so let's go and talk about my army list. The House Daycare, the Golden Reavers of Skyros. So it is a 2,000-point Dark Elves army. For my Lord and Hero choices, we have Rakarth Daycare and Kalibos, the Saint of Slavers. He is a high Beastmaster with Manticore with Ironheart Skin, Blind Rage upgrades. He's also equipped with the Cloak of Twilight, the Enchanted Shield, and the Sword of Might. After my next Lord choice is Sister Sinner. She's Exalted Oracle of Kos. She's a Supreme Sorceress level 4 upgrade with the Obsidian Lodestone, as well as the Sacrificial Dagger. For my Hero choice, you have Captain Lodi Daycare, the Golden Sun. He is a Master with the Battle Center Bearer upgrade, Halberd, Sea Dragon Cloak, Heavy Armor Shield, as well as the Crown of Command. For my core choices, we have two of them. The first is the Phalanx of Kos, the 38 Dread Spills for command, as well as the Standard of Discipline, and the Mourners of Dawn, the Morning Dawn, 10 Dark Shards as Standard Bearer, as well as Banner of the Eternal Flame. I have two special choices: the Storms of Kos, my two Repeater Bolt Throwers, as well as Virazil the Broken, my War Hydra with Fiery Breath upgrade. And for my rare choices, we have Rathric the Maw, he's my Cryptus, and the Shacklemore Seers, or 5 Doomfire Warlocks, and that makes up my army for this one. Alright, so here's 2,000 points Orcs and Goblins. They're called the Apocalypse Now. For Lord and Hero choices, we have Grom the Paunch. He's both the general as well as the battle center bearer from this army. Next, Brother Grimm brings Old Blacktooth. He's an Orc Great Shaman with level 4 upgrade, Talisman of Endurance, Crown of Command, and the Path of the Big Wall. And for his hero choice, he has the Shrinking Shroomhead, who's a Night Goblin Shaman with a level 2 upgrade, Dispel Scroll, the Terrifying Mask of E, as well as the Path of the Little Wall. For his core choice, he has the Ludas, which are 38 Night Goblins with full command and 3 Fanatics, the War Boys, who are 39 Orc Biggins with full command, shields, and standard discipline. For his special choice, he has the Crimson Killers, a 40-man Black Orc Horde with full command and the Banner of Eternal Flame. And for his rare choice, he has them Kamikaze Boys, or 2 Goblin Dewdiver Catapults. So, not very many units within this army, but they're all pretty devastatingly huge, as well equipped. So, it's going to be kind of a tough nut to crack for this part. Alright, so once again, we're fighting on our 4x6 table. As you can see on this battle report, I'm taking the far side of the board this time. My opponent took the near side board, so I'll be fighting on a different angle on this part, which I'm not used to, but whatever the case may be. As you can see, Orcs and Goblins are playing on the near side of the board, on the far side. It's we're kind of occupying either end of the table because both sides have towers on them. So let's go break down to the individual deployment zones. Alright, here's the play for the Dark Elves. As you can see, I kind of basically spread out my forces between these ruins as well as the field in front of me, kind of using it to kind of defend myself and protect my flanks. From the left-hand side, we have my Shacklemore Seers. Those are my 5 Doomfire Warlocks up in the top of the watchtower there. We have my Storms of Kos, which are my 2 Reaper Bolt Throwers. And then to the right there, we have Rothric the Maw, who is my Cryptus, as well as Rakarth Daycare, as well as Kalibos, who are my High Beastmaster, as well as his Manticore. So that makes the deployment on this side of the board. And basically, my center portions, we have both my Morning Dawn, which is my 10 Dark Shards, as well as my huge brick of 38 Dread Spears, the Phalanx of Kos. In that unit, I also have my Supreme Sorceress, Sister Sinner, as well as my General, as well as my Battle Center Bearer, my Master Daycare, Lodi Daycare. My Battle Center Bearer is also located there as well. And make up the far right-hand side is Virazil the Broken, which is my War Hydra. So that makes up my deployment for this battle. And make up the entire the center portion of my opponent's side. Starting left hand side, you have the Looters, which are those unit of 39 Night Goblins with 3 Fanatics in there. Also, you have the Shrinking Shroomhead as well. That's the dude in red there in the front rank. Right next to them, we have the War Boys, that massive, huge brick of 39 Orc Biggins, armored shields, as well as light armor. They also have the Standard Discipline. Located in that unit is his Orc Shaman Lord. And right behind those two units, you also have Grom the Paunch mounted in his Goblin Chariot, and the Watchtower there on the roof. You have the 2 Kamikaze Boys, which are his 2 Doomdiver Catapults. So, pretty solid center right there. And make up his right hand flank, you have them Crimson Killers, which are the 40, which are those massive units of 40 Black Orcs, armed with all array of chopping weapons. They also have the Flame Banner as well, so that's also another huge unit. So he's got 3 huge hordes, 3 huge hordes. He's ground the Ponch's Chariot, as well as his 2 Doomdiver Catapults. This unit is meant to just roll over the opposition, so I'm kind of worried about this one. So with that out of the way, we go to the top of turn number 1 for Orcs and Goblins because they won the initiative on this round. Alright, here's the top of turn one after move for the Orcs and Goblins. As you can see here, basically our entire army just marches up as quick as they possibly can towards my center line. I have a huge tidal wave of green just coming my way. I got three huge hordes in horde formation. 40-minute piece is pretty devastating right there. It's like a tidal wave of danger coming my way. This army, however, as big as it is, it's meant for attacking forward only. I'm realizing that he's kind of exposed on the flanks, so that's where I'm going to try to take my advantage at there. So you see that he moves up his entire army, kind of moves around the paunch over there to kind of charge it in the left-hand flank. Up on the top there, you can also see that my Shacklemore Sears have also used their fast cavalry rolls to vanguard up, so they moved up 12 inches that way. My plan is to strike my opponent where he's the weakest, which is the flanks, because while this army can charge forward at you and just kind of dominate that way, there's nothing protecting his flanks on that part. So I'm going to try to send my monsters going around the flanks, send my Shacklemore Sears, my Doomfire Warlocks to do the same thing, and try to hold them in the center there with my massive phalanx, my phalanx of Kos. Here's a close-up of my Shacklemore Sears moving up with their Vanguard rules. My idea is to make those guys go around the flank and hit them from behind, so that's the plan with those guys. And here's a close-up of that huge tidal wave of Orc madness that's coming straight at me like a ton of bricks, and I'm really worried about that part. And you can also see, what's his name, Braun the Punch kind of angling there to the left-hand side to kind of protect his left-hand flank for his goblins. So with that out of the way, go directly to the magic as well as the shooting phases. Nothing much happened during the magic phase, but during the shooting phase, he opens with both his Doom Diver catapults. There we go. He tries to open up both those guys, managed to hit my Manticore as well. He managed to put one wound onto my Manticore, which is kind of rough, but for my other opponent, though, his other Doom Diver catapult misfired, so I was got really lucky that way. As you can see in this picture, he lost one of his Doom Diver catapults. He misfired, rolled a 1. That thing got killed on that part. And the only reason why my Manticore is still alive is because of the Cloak of Twilight. I think it was a +3 ward save against shooting attacks, and that was a miracle because Doom Diver catapults not allow armor saves whatsoever. So that really definitely helped me on that part. So, well, that pretty much makes the shooting phase on that one. And since there's no close combat going on here, we go to the bottom of turn number 1 for the Dark Elves. Alright, so here's the photo of the turn number one for the Dark Elves after movement phase. You can see here, I don't really do much movement really. All I'm really doing is positioning my monsters as well as my my Doomfire Warlocks to kind of get them centered in the situation. That way they can start flanking my opponent when they get the chance to do that. As you can see on the left-hand side there, you got my Doomfire Warlocks, my Shacklemore Sears. They're taking position within that force. That way if Ground the Punch decides to charge them, they'll take damage trend tests within those force. Behind that ruin there in the front there, I have my High Beast Lord, Beastmaster with his Manicore taking cover behind that ruin there, as well as Rathwick the Maul right in front of him, kind of moving up through those woods over there. And also the very right hand side there, I got Virs of the Broken. I marched him through those woods and put him over there locating that side there, so that way he could take on that full brunt and protect the flank of my Phalanx of Kos from that huge unit of Black Orcs that's coming his way. And then of course everything else just kind of stays in position to maintain. So that makes up the movement phase on this part. Alright, so here's a close-up of my Doomfire Warlocks, the Shacklemore Sears getting in position to cast some magic spells against Ground the Punch there. My goal is to actually weaken his strength as well as his toughness, using that death spell that's associated with him, and then hitting him with maybe a Doom Bolt, or having my repeater crossbows firing at him as well. So that's the plan going on this side of the board. And here's a close-up picture of my Karth Dakir as well as Kalibos and Rathwick the Maul kind of taking positions there next to that ruin, so that way they can charge in directly at that Goblin unit and then sweep in from the flanks on that on the left-hand side for both the Biggins as well as the Crimson Killers. And here's a close of my infantry units not moving anywhere at all really, and also Virus of the Broken getting positioned there in the right-hand flank to kind of stop those Crimson Killers as well. So with moving over with it, go directly into the magic phase. Magic phase is absolutely horrible for me. I rolled like 3 dice. That's what I got. I got a 2 and then a 1. That's all I basically have for my magic dice. So luckily for me, I had my Sacrifice Dagger. I started stabbing members of my own Dread Spears in order to get the spells I needed to get off in order to make this happen. So basically with my Doomfire Warlocks, I did cast that spell. I think it's called Doom and Despair. I gave Ground the Paunch a -1 strength and as well as -1 toughness. I tried to cast Doom Bolt right afterwards, but I didn't have enough dice to do it with. So basically, I just got to use his weakened toughness to take him out with my Reaper Bolt Throwers. So that's the magic phase on this side of the board. In the center portion of the board, I cast my spell Shroud of Despair, gave my unit of big guns a -1 to leadership. They also don't get to use Inspiring Presence or Hold Your Ground rules as well, so that'd be kind of nice if I could take those guys out with some repeater bolt thrower fire or crossbow fire. I get to whittle those guys down and make them go away as well. So, and also on the right hand side, as you can see there, I also cast that spell, Word of Pain. I cast the big one on that part, gave my opponent -2 for his weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength, as well as initiative. So really crippled that big unit of Black Orcs to make sure they're not as deadly as they could be for the next round. I also give Power of Darkness to my unit of Dark Elves as well, give it +1 strength for my Dread Spears as well. Managed to put 2 other Power Dice I used to cast the other spells as well. However, to make all this happen, I did have to sacrifice 6 Dread Spears, which are 6 too many in my opinion, which is kind of rough, but I thought I needed the magic, and that's exactly what I did. So yeah, 6 of my Dread Elves are now dead because of that part, so with magic over, we go directly into the shooting phase. During the shooting phase, both my Reaper bolt throwers opened up on ground the paunch, did not manage to do much damage, so I did drop him down 2 wounds, which is kind of nice, but not as fantastic as I was hoping. I was hoping I'd be able to take him out with one shot. What really could have helped me out really is if I had Dark Riders running alongside my Doomfire Warlocks. They could have opened up with their repeater crossbows and helped kind of whittle them down as well, but didn't do that for this army because I don't have the points for that part. So yeah, he's down by 2, so it's not great, but it's better than what he was. And my Dark Shards managed to plink out 3 of that huge brick of that huge horde of Orc Ardboys as well. Wasn't as great as I thought it could have been. The reason why that was the case is because I was firing at long distance, multiple shots. So, I'm basically rolling out a 5+ in order to get those shots off as well. So, it kind of limits your number. Managed to kill 3 guys. So, I was hoping what I was trying to do was try to concentrate fire, maybe to take out that entire unit as break and then make them flee with panic checks. But as you can see there, didn't really work out for me. So, oh well. Lesson learned. Well, with that out of the way, there's no combat in my face. With that, we go to the top of turn number 2 for the Orcs and Goblins. Alright, so the top of turn number 2 for the Orcs and Goblins after the move phase. As you can see there, pretty much everything just came up as quickly as they possibly could. Originally, though, he tried to charge off a couple of his units on the center portion there. So he tried charging his Warboys as well as his Crimson Killers, trying to get into both my Dread Spears, as well as my Hydra over there on the right-hand side. However, he failed his charge roll, so he only went a couple of inches forward, basically using the highest die roll as it happened there. On the left-hand side, he doesn't charge ground the paunch just because he doesn't want to take the Data Terrain test with the Chariot. On the left-hand side, however, my opponent, Brother Grim, moves up his Night Goblins, his Diluters, up to 8 inches. That way he deploys all 3 of his Fanatics. His Fanatics go wild. 2 of them get stuck in the space between them and Wrathrick the Maw, which is my Charybdis, and one actually goes past him, actually inflicts a wound on that guy. So that part's kind of rough. So that makes it move on this side of the board. Here's a close-up of Grom the Paunch just kind of like chilling out there. He's not going to charge in those forests because he doesn't want to take your rating tests, but also because he also has a -1 to strength as well as a toughness. So Brother Grim decides to keep his general back. And so that kind of is nice because that sets me up for a beautiful charge next turn. And there's a close-up of those 3 Fanatics trying to tear into Wrathrick the Maw. Luckily for me, 2 of those Fanatics didn't get anywhere with that portion, so I was pretty lucky on that part. However, Wrathrick the Maw, though, did take a damage from the third one that went past through him. So, all in all, can't really complain. One wound is nothing, especially when it comes to Fanatics. And here's a close-up of the Warboys as well as the Crimson Killers filling their charge rolls. And because magic was pretty much a wash, I dispelled very much everything he tried to cast at me, and shooting missed, and says no one's engaged in close combat either. That pretty much ends up the very boring and uneventful turn number 2 for the Orcs and Goblins. Alright, so here's the bottom of turn number 2 after move for the Dark Elves. As you can see on the left-hand flank, basically, I just start charging everything as quick as I can for 2 reasons. One, I see the opening, and second, I definitely want to get my Charybdis out of that little fanatic frenzy fest that's taking place over there on the left-hand side as well. So you see in this picture, basically, I charge 3 of my units. I take my Shackle Morseers, having charged right into the rear of that unit of the Ludas, as well as that massive huge horde of Night Goblins. I also, as you can see in that picture, too, also send Wrathrick the Maw, charging directly into the front as that as well, so that they're kind of stuck in a pincer attack. And then with my General Rakarthake here, the High Beastmaster, and his Manticore, I basically charge him using his flying special rules, flying over the ruins, over that Night Goblin, smashing right into the flank of Ground the Paunch, which is really helpful because Ground the Paunch is also suffering a -1 to strength as well as a -1 to toughness, so that really comes into effect on that part too as well. So as you can see on the right hand side for the rest of my forces, I pretty much just kind of keep them where they're located at. I'm not in any rush to force those guys or commit those guys in combat. The plan here is that hopefully he might commit his units of Orcs directly into my main line. If he can do that, and I could destroy these units here with my left-hand side with my monsters, I could charge them to the rear. That's pretty much the plan. Not sure if this could work out, though, but that's what I'm pretty much going for in this one. So yeah, that's moving on this side of the form. In the magic phase, I start off with my Power of Darkness spell. That way I get +1 strength from my Dread Spears, as well as my Battle Standard Bearer Commander, as well as my Sorceresses there. Also, I got 2 extra magic dice because of that, so that was kind of pretty cool on that part. I had to sacrifice anybody on this one, so that's the beginning of my magic phase for this turn. And I also cast Shroud of Despair as well as Word of Pain onto that unit of the Warboys as well. Managed to get the big one off on the Word of Pain. Took out number 2 points off of the weapon skill, plus the skill strength, as well as our initiative. I also gave -1 to the leadership and took away all their leadership bonuses as well. During the shooting phase, I concentrated fire between my Storms of Koss with my two Reaper bolt throwers, as well as my repeater crossbowmen. We opened up on that unit of Warboys. I tried it. What I tried to do is actually take out that last man in the back ranks, so that way we can get him to break and cause a panic check and hopefully make them flee. But unfortunately for me, I was one orc shy of achieving the full 25%, so I had to worry about. So my opponent, Brother Grimm, didn't have to worry about taking panic checks for those guys. So that part was kind of rough. It was a gamble. I was going to try to break the center, so that way I could isolate the Crimson Killers by myself and my other units. But it didn't work out. But oh well. I'll take what I can get. So with shooting over, we go directly to the close combat phase. In the close combat phase, it was an absolute slaughter between my blind rage upgrade ability as well as the extra attacks that my Beastmaster has, and combined with the multiple wounds that my character gets on top of that Manticore, we managed just to put Ground the Paunch directly into the dirt. That poor guy didn't even get a chance to counterattack on that part, so that part was kind of neat. So you can see I do a quick combat reform, turn him around, and kind of face the rear of that Roar Boy unit as well. Now, as of the top there, that Night Goblin used, between all the attacks that my Shackle Morseers had done to him, as well as Wrathrick the Maw, we had no problem defeating him whatsoever. They had a test to flee. By the time we got done, I think only 15 or 18 of those guys were left standing after we got done. When they broke, they had to flee forward. They had to take data terrain tests going right through Wrathrick the Maw. He chewed up a bunch of them at the process of doing so. And then they also ran directly into those two fanatics that are also in the center of the board as well because they're trying to get away from my Shackle Morseers. They took a lot of damage to those poor two, and by the time they got done with the second fanatic, that unit had been destroyed by its own fanatics, basically, is what happened on that part. So yeah, combat was pretty epic on this part. So with close combat pretty much done on this part, we go directly to the top of turn number 3. All right, so at the top of turn number 3 for the Orcs and Goblins, as you can see here during the charge phase, he both attempts to charge with both his unit of Orcs. The Crimson Killers unfortunately fails their charge roll, so they go up a couple of inches, getting stuck on the other side of that wood there. Because I'm signing kind of up for a nice little rear charge there, if I can make that long bomb charge with my General Ricard Dake here, as well as Minotaur. Hopefully they can get to the back of that unit and help chew up in that part. Same thing with setting up with that unit of the War Boys and the Crash Duck into my Dread Spears. I basically just have to hold out for a turn until the rest of my units can kind of come in for that pincer attack as well to kind of help out in the back rank on that part as well. And as you can see there as well, because his unit is so huge, he's got such a huge horde break of guys, his left-hand flank for his War Boys is kind of left open for my crosswomen to kind of charge directly into that flank. They're in my charge arc, so I'll be able to get that and get into an envelopment and basically kill him that way as well. Also, if you look on the left-hand side, the last Fanatic rolled to see where he was going. He crashed directly into those ruins and basically killed himself from that part. So that makes up movement for this turn. All right, here's a close up of his War Boys getting kind of stuck in with my Phalanx of Koss. So basically, I just have to hope that my unit of Dread Spears can hold out one combat turn and wait long enough, and hopefully I got enough bodies for the rest of my units to catch up and get these guys stuck in development. So that's the plan there. And here's a close up of the Crimson Killer trying to attempt to charge at Wrathrick not Wrathrick the Broken, sorry, Virza the Broken, and failing their charge as well, which gets him set up for a nice little counter charge by War Hydra. So with movement out of the way, magic was pretty much a wash. There's no shooting, so we go directly into the combat phase. All right, close combat was actually pretty brutal in this part. He managed to kill off about 5 of my Dread Spears. I managed to kill off about, I think, 8. Yeah, I managed to kill 8 of his Warboys in the process that time as well. What really helped me out in this process with the fact was that he has so many losses to his strength as well as to his weapon skill, but however, just the sheer number of guys he had attacking was enough to drop some of my guys as well. So that was kind of rough. I did lose a little too many guys that I cared for, and we kind of struggled back. Even though we had the +1 strength bonus, it was still even odds we would have against their toughness. So that was kind of hard on that part as well. Unfortunately for me, though, my opponent did not have to worry about running away because he is equipped with the Crown of Command, which makes his unit stubborn, so they never have to worry about any leadership modifiers on break tests. So that part was kind of sad, but I managed to chop down that unit by a good hefty amount and lasted long enough for the rest of my guys to give support. So with combat out of the way, we go directly to the bottom, turn number 3 for the Dark Elves. All right, that takes us to the top bottom of turn number 3, afternoon for the Dark Elves. And as you see here, I basically just charge everything in and start enveloping as much as I can to cause as much destruction as possible into these huge horde units of orcs. As you can see on the left-hand side, I charge in my Morning Dawn, my 10 repeater crossbowmen into the flank of the Warboys. I also send in my Shackle Morseers charging into the rear of the Warboys as well as Wrathrick the Maw. So now that unit is now being hit by 4 different units all at the same time. Between the combat as well as combat resolution between these guys, that unit's also disrupted. I should be able to do enough damage here basically to destroy these guys, even though they're stubborn. As you can see on the right hand side as well, I also charged in both Virza the Broken, my War Hydra, as well as my General into the front as well as the rear of that huge horde break of Black Orcs. The idea is that maybe the combined attacks between these two monster units could actually put some harm on these guys. So that is the plan on that part. So with that, we go directly on to the other phases. All right, here's a close-up of the sheer just surround and pound that my Dark Elves is doing on this Warboy unit. So that part was kind of cool. And here's a close of my High Beastmaster on Mana Core as well as my War Hydra, getting these guys stuck in a pincer attack. So yeah, that pretty much makes it that one. So with movement out of the way, we go directly to the Magic phase. In the Magic phase, the Magic dice pretty much abandoned me on this part. I only got 3 on that part, so because of my spell pools isn't as good as they used to be, so because that the War Boys lose a lot of the hexes that I put on them, so the only spot I really got off to help me out, cast my other spells, was Power of Darkness and Magic get a +1 strength on my Dread Spears. I decided not to sacrifice anybody, seeing how it was a bad idea to do so, since my guys are in close combat. So that's what I have on this side of the board for Magic phase. And here on the right hand side, for that unit of Crimson Killers, I also cast that Shroud of Darkness spell on them as well to give them -1 to leadership. So hopefully the idea is I could basically try to break these guys with combat res and the amount of damage if I can. If I can do that, they get a -1 to leadership, so they'll have to flee, make it easier a little bit from the break as well. But I'm just looking at this going to be like a long knockout, drag out fight on that part. So yeah, that makes it the Magic phase. So with Magic phase over, go directly to the Shooting phase. And because there's nothing else for me to shoot at, because my crossbow are stuck in the flank of that warboy unit, I get to take my 2 bolt throwers. I have them aim at the 1 remaining Tomb Diver catapult, and we manage to plink that guy off as well. So there's no survivors left on that tower. So shooting phase for my enemy has now been eliminated. And in the combat phase, it ended up being absolutely brutal murder on that part for the War Boys. We killed that War Boy unit down to the man. So between all the attacks we get for poison attacks, as well as flanking attacks for my Morning Dawn, combined with Wrath with the Maw's fighting ability, and the +1 strength for my Dread Spears, those Orcs really didn't stand a chance. Plus, when you combine my racial abilities for my characters, for my units, giving me able to reroll the hit misses because the always strikes first roll, as well as Murderous Prowess, so I get to reroll ones for wound. That Warboy unit didn't really stand a chance whatsoever. So my units basically curve stomp those guys, and those orcs are no more. And close combat over here was actually pretty brutal as well. They managed to inflict 2 or 3 wounds onto my general, so that part was kind of rough as well. They also put some wounds on Virus of the Broken, but because Virus of the Broken lasted until the end of the phase, basically got his wounds back, and so because that he was okay. And between his fiery breath attack and stomps between both my characters with their thunder stomps, as well as the attacks being unleashed from my character on top of his mana core, basically had enough to make that unit break. And with the -1 leadership down to Shroud of Darkness, it was also for us for those guys to break as well. They fled. My Manticore pursued. I overran them. We destroyed those guys down. Plus, I had to take data training tests, charging through the War Hydra as well. It ended up being a very bad day for those Black Orcs, and we managed to slaughter them to the very last orc. And there it is, folks. That's the end of the game. As you can see there, I completely tabled my opponent, killed every single one of his units that he basically had, got rid of all those guys as well, and there's a lot of Dark Elves still left on the table. I haven't really lost a unit. Lost a bunch of guys from one unit, in particular my Phalanx, and I took some wounds, but for the most part, my army of House Daycure is pretty much standing stone. So chalk one up for another victory for the Golden Rivals of Skyros. So with that being said, let's go directly into the after-action report for this one.
Sure, I could have stayed in the past. Could have even been king. But in my own way, I am king. Hail to the king, baby.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for the after action report. This is part of the battle report. We talk about what went well, what went poorly, and what we can learn for the next time that we do battle. This is the after action report for Warhammer the Golden Age battle report number 21. This is a 2,000 point battle between myself and my House Daycare Dark Elves versus Brother Grimm as well Apocalypse Now, Orcs and Goblins. So let's go ahead and talk about what went well. First of all, maneuverability is key in this battle. My ability to go from one place to another, jump between the parts, go across the board very, very rapidly, and to outflank and outmaneuver my opponents, as well as envelop them into being attacked on multiple fronts at the same time, basically saved me in this battle. Even though he had huge blocks of troops with his Hordes ability, it was basically rendered useless because it took away rank bonuses by doing this, and also could also inflict more casualties with my troops as well. Now, another problem with the Elves is, however, is that they do have a very low toughness. I don't know how I could correct that really. I mean, I could use the Lore of Life and Magic phase and give them a +1, give them a +3 toughnesses and give them regen saves and all kind of stuff to make them a little bit more durable. However, if I do that, I lose my +1 bonus with Harkarthi's Blessing for Dark Magic, so it seems kind of iffy at best on that part as well. And speaking of magic, the dice really abandoned me in this magic phase. I had to kill a lot of Dread Spears to make it the difference or to make that happen, and so because of that, yeah, I was really kind of upset that part. So magic is no bueno as far as I'm concerned on this battle report. Also, for magic items, Cloak of Twilight is extremely powerful, and one of the nice things about that is besides getting the 3 awards from being shot at as well as magic attacks, but you also do multiple wounds D3 in the first round of combat against characters as well, which is very, very scary. Just really destroys stuff, especially if you're doing offering challenges challenges to characters. As I did in my example, I issued a challenge to Ground the Paunch, managed to destroy him pretty quickly because of those D3 wounds, multiple wounds abilities. So definitely planning on keeping that for my character from this point on as well. Also, speaking of characters, I also like using the monsters. They're extremely helpful in these battles, having these huge monsters kind of stomping around and charging in every direction and just kind of like overwhelming my enemy with monsters attacks is kind of cool in my opinion. So it's also really awesome that part. And once again, as always, envelopment, flanking, rear charges, higher weapon skills equals victory always. So I'm going to try to do those kind of rages as well. Try to get him in kind of guerrilla style where I outmaneuver, hit him multiple times and multiple things, and just basically defeat him that way. And once again, as always, I love being back in the 8th edition of Warhammer. It reminds me of coming back home, kind of like a homecoming. It just feels right. I mean, Ninth Age is great, and I love playing the Ninth Age. I also like playing Age of Sigmar as well, but just there's just something about the 8th edition that will always be a part of me for like forever. So yeah, kind of nice on that part. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap up for this one for Battle Report number 21. This one's in the books, an official victory for my house stake here, the Golden Reavers of Skyros. Please feel free to like, subscribe, add comments. All the back and forth and the input is really, really helpful, and I enjoy making these videos. So we'll see you guys again on another Thursday for Throwback Thursday. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, see you guys on the flip side.